Hello, tea family. How are you this evening? I'm hoping everybody had a wonderful weekend. I know we had some unseasonably warm weather for a change here in Kansas. We didn't get to enjoy that much of it. My handy dandy assistant is over there trying to do some of the relaxation thing right now. But say hello. Welcome to all new members of our tea family and those watching on the replay. Please let us know what you're drinking and if it's hot or cold. I am drinking Holiday right now. And Handy Dandy Assistant is drinking Highland Dawn, leftover from yesterday at our event. And we are going to be doing question and answers today. So as you are watching or at any point, even if we're not still live, go ahead in the chat or comments, depending on how you're watching us. Let us know what you're drinking, but also let us know if you have any questions. I do like to try and answer them live, but if you put it in after this is over, I will, of course, still answer your questions at any point in time because I want you to be able to have those answers. So like I said, I am enjoying some Holiday tea. Hello to Kim. And that is what I have. It is only available, let's see, October, November, and December. And it has oolong, freeze-dried cranberries, orange zest, and vanilla in it. And it's very limited. We don't have that much left, and we only make a certain batch, and then that's it. But that is what I am drinking tonight. And then let's see, Kim is drinking Winter's Kiss. That is coming very soon. Winter's Kiss is a winter blend that is usually January and February. And so Kim is going to drink that up and then she can get more in January. All right. I want to take a sip. And we do have a couple of questions that I got over the weekend at an event we were at. And I always want to start with those to give you a chance to put your questions in the chat or comments, depending on how you're watching. Hello to Diane. And the question I got was one that I really like, and we don't get that often. And so I don't talk about it that often. But what it is how do I know if a tea has caffeine in it? As we have said many times, more and more people are drinking caffeine free, or they're trying to be mindful of their caffeine. And so what ends up happening is they're like, well, if I'm looking at a tea blend, how do I know if it has caffeine in it or not? Well, there's a couple of different ways. First of all, decaffeinated does not necessarily mean all the tea or the caffeine is gone out of the tea. But we always warn people, you have to be really careful because even if you're looking in the herbal tisane, which is something that doesn't have the tea plant in it, some of those ingredients might have caffeine in them. So you need to be really careful and mindful. Now, the easiest way I always tell people to do your first check is to look through your list of ingredients. Tea in the US has to have all the list of ingredients. And a lot of times it'll just say tea. It might say green tea or black tea or oolong tea, but it will say tea. That means there's going to be some kind of caffeine in it. And you want to make sure you're mindful of that. That's one simple rule. If it uses the plant Camellia sinensis at all, whether that's green, black, oolong, white, anything else, it's going to have some amount of caffeine in it. So that's your first one. The second one is if you're looking at an herbal, then you need to consider, are those ingredients caffeine free? For instance, mocha mint. Is there potentially some caffeine in the cacao nibs? Yes. So then that's not necessarily 100% caffeine free. On the other hand, rooibos, 100% caffeine free. So like ruby chai, 100% caffeine free. And so that's why we're always really clear on that, the difference between decaffeinated. That is not something that we want to do. We want 100% caffeine free for those that are sensitive to it. I see Diane is drinking Aloha Breeze, a nice summer blend this evening. All right. So rooibos, although everybody is very shy about saying it, and I have to say I used to pronounce it incorrectly myself, but then I had to train myself. It is pronounced rooibos, Rooibos. Some people call it red tea. It is actually one of the most popular caffeine-free teas, and we know it comes from South Africa, but it is a plant in South Africa that isn't really a tea at all. But a lot of people consider it a tea because it is a very, very popular blend. It is, it has sweetness to it, but it also has kind of a little bit of a bite. Rooibos is actually full of antioxidants, and one of the best things is a lot of people like it because it is, again, caffeine free. Let's see. So that is one question that I wanted to answer. Again, if you have any questions, please put them in the chat or comments. Meanwhile, I'm going to go ahead and answer the next question we got at the events this weekend. And that is, what is the best tea to serve at parties or to use for mocktails or different things like that? So we had two mocktail gift sets there, and people are asking lots of questions, and I always love it when people inquire about that. Now, I always start with, okay, are you going to want to try and have tea at your party, just one tea, or are you trying to have a couple of different teas? Is it a tea party? Is it a bigger party where you just want tea as an option? Are you looking for a sweet tea, or are you looking for a traditional iced tea, or are you looking for a hot tea? These are all different questions. If you're looking for a sweet tea, I'm going to shoot you on over to something like a breakfast blend. If you're even looking for an iced tea, I'm going to again shoot you on over to the breakfast blend or morning Irish or Highland Dawn, but really traditionally the breakfast blend is what you're going to get for those. If you're going for hot, then I'm always like, well, what are you going to be eating? Hence, you see this right here. I know you do. I've got this tray of food here, but what are you going to be eating? You might want to pair it against that. Do you have anybody who's caffeine sensitive? Do you want to make sure that there's a caffeine free element? Do you have people that just drink green tea? So there's a lot of questions, and there's no one right or wrong answer to that. A lot of times that's what we'll get into free food and tea pairing and different things like that. Now, I like to have a variety if I was having even just to get together. I know a lot of people that like black teas, especially if they wanted them iced, but I would probably also be throwing some that had some fruity notes and definitely some caffeine free blends, especially if I'm having the party or the get together in the evening, where I know some people stop drinking caffeine at a certain point during the day. So something to consider there. Also, if you're going to be having, like, if it's spring and you're going to be having a lot of, like, mint and citrus type of things, you definitely want to make sure you have a green tea around. So that is another thing, is kind of like, when is it? What is it? Those are different things to consider. So the other thing is, I talked about mocktails and tea-based mocktails. Again, what kind of, are you trying to imitate an already famous cocktail or mocktail, or are you trying to come up with something new? Is what type of event is it for? There's so many possibilities, and that's one of the great things about tea. It's not just kind of a one taste thing. What is interesting, because you always love those interesting facts, is, did you know that tea-based mocktails actually typically hold their flavor longer than traditional juice-based mocktails? And this has to do with the fact that it has tannins in the tea, and the tannins naturally stabilize the flavor. Almost like a wine, it's going to help that flavor stabilize. So, did you know that? Go ahead, put it in the chat or comments. Let me know if you knew that one. I just always wanted to find those interesting facts for you, and I thought that was fascinating. So, handy dandy assistant did not realize that. I don't tell you anything. I tell you lots of stuff. Whether you hear it or listen or not is different. Okay. And then the other question that I get a lot, especially when we talk about the organic teas and the way we make them, is how can people tell if their tea has anything added to it? For instance, I cannot make a caramel tea. Okay, so Kim says neither of us knew that. See? I love sharing new stuff with everybody. Okay, so how can I tell if my tea has added flavorings? Number one, it has to be in listed in the ingredients. A lot of times they will say natural flavors or they'll say artificial flavors or they'll add flavors. Hey Chelsea. Chelsea didn't know either. Diane didn't know. See? I love when we can surprise people. So that's the big thing is they have to list it and you have to think about it. I can't make a caramel tea unless I'm adding a caramel syrup to it or I'm adding a piece of caramel or a caramel puff. I have to add that in because there's no true caramel plant, caramel herb, caramel flour. That is sugar. And so you have to add something to the tea. Now, you could have a tea that has little bits of caramel in it, sure, but the problem is you're doing a moisture factor and it's going to probably mold fairly quickly. And so that is why it's not a flavor. Maple syrup. There's no way to add maple syrup unless I add it as an ingredient after in my tea. So if you have a tea that is a caramel apple tea, you know that they're using some kind of flavoring to get that tea to taste like that. Now, this is why we create the caramel puffs. And just as a side note, we will have both scones and caramel puffs available when we're doing our Chris Kindle market in like 1 day shy of 3 weeks. And again, I know we talked last week. Diane, I'm still working on how I can get you some to try without them getting crushed in the mail. But those tend to be something I can only produce locally. And that's where you would just take that caramel ball and you would put it in the tea and it disintegrates and it adds a little bit of caramel flavor. But again, you're adding that to your tea afterwards. So that is how you can tell. You really have to just look at your ingredients and then you have to think about it. You know, if you're having a blueberry tea, but you don't see any blueberries in the tea, then it's probably a flavor has been added. And so we always want to kind of look, especially things that smell like candy or desserts or oils or different things like that. Read the ingredients. Look at the tea. Does it look like it has kind of like a dusting over it or a powder or something like that? So another fun fact, some teas smell so strong because the flavor oils bind to the tea leaves. This is one of the things that's really funny to watch people enjoy the Earl's blend or an Earl Grey because they've got that bergamot and a lot of people use bergamot oil to it and it binds to the tea. And so when it hits the water, the flavor just kind of, the aroma kind of expands really, really quickly. So typically, other than Earl's blend, I mean, I put that one out there. Other than Earl's blend or any of your Earl Greys, if your tea smells like a perfume, but when you open the bag, it's probably got added flavorings. Most teas don't smell like perfume. That's typically an oily type of smell. So, Darjeeling. So Darjeeling does not normally have an oil attached to it. It's just a lot of times people are adding those flavors. So, all right. I don't see any. Do you see any questions coming up in the chat or the comments? Okay. All right. Well, then we're going to go to question number 4 in a second. I'm going to take a sip of tea really quickly. Okay. So one of the other questions we get asked, because we do talk about our tea being organic and non-GMO. Are all teas organic? The fast and easy answer is no. Most tea in the world is no longer organic. Organic tea has to be grown without any kind of synthetic pesticides or fertilizers. However, organic certification can vary by country. It's one of the reasons why, even if it's certified organic in the country of, for instance, our rooibos that comes from South Africa has to be certified both there and by the USDA. The other thing is right now, all the tea is at the last time I've checked, which was within the last month, all tea is still non-GMO. It hasn't been genetically modified. Although now with the matcha shortage in Japan, that is becoming a consideration. The you still have to be careful. That's where I was going. I got distracted by the comments. Hello, Domini. So you really have to watch because it's not just the tea in the tea blends. Sometimes you have other ingredients. So for instance, in our holiday blend where I told you, like you can see there's the freeze-dried cranberries. Our cranberries also have to be organic and non-GMO. The orange that's used in the orange zest, the same way. A tea ceases to become organic or non-GMO if any of the ingredients used in it do not fit in those categories as well. So, now a tea or an ingredient can potentially be still organic and non-GMO, but they just haven't gone through the certification process. Maybe they can't afford the paperwork or whatnot. We can't use them for sourcing, but there are potentials. I do know that there is a lavender farm not very far away from where we live, and they just haven't gone through the certification process. They can show you the documentation, but unfortunately, we have set that as a standard that we want people to go through the extra step of the certification. So, okay, you ready for another interesting fact? Let me know in the chat or comments if you knew this, but tea plants, the Camellia sinensis tea plants, grown at high elevations, often don't need any pesticides, or if they do, very, very few at all. Most pests cannot survive in that high altitude environment. So, what do you think? Did you know that? Did you know that it's easier to stay organic and not use pesticides the higher you are in altitude? I will bet probably not. I don't know for sure. I'm just guessing here. But let me know in the chat or comments. I'm trying to look. Okay, Kim, do we have a Darjeeling blend? So we do not have an official Darjeeling blend right now. I did create one and sent it to my beloved sister-in-law, and then never heard how much she did or did not like it. So I kind of put it on the back panel. So maybe sometime she'll let me know if she liked it. But prior though, I know that at a tea room that we both enjoyed, there was an autumnal Darjeeling that was just absolutely incredible. And it was just tea in there. There weren't any other flavorings. Hey, Kendra, you're not late to the party. We're all still. I know you love the one at the Savannah Tea Room. Diane, but you have to let me know about the one that I made for you. Did you like that one? I made that a while ago, probably a couple years ago now. Okay. Didn't know, but it is logical. What is the challenge there? So a lot of times the challenge for us, Kim, on our teas and having like a Darjeeling or something is simply sourcing. Because we demand such a high level for our teas, it really becomes a sourcing issue of where can we get it, and we get it consistently, and can we get it in an affordable nature? Those are the biggest things. Okay. Diane's like, oops, my bad, I did let. Okay, so potentially Darjeeling could come out there. I like them too. It's an autumnal Darjeeling is really just a really unique flavor that I really enjoy. Okay. That's great. Okay, so we are actually going to also be talking about kind of hitting back on that question about teas and parties. I don't know if everybody realizes this, but we are only about a week and a half away from Thanksgiving. And that is pretty stinking quick. We are already more than halfway through November. And I realized that Friday, and it kind of freaked me out a little bit. I'm like, On the one hand, I'm ready to be home a little bit more and see my ladies on the Saturday morning like normal because I miss them. But at the same point in time, I'm not ready for us to progress through the year. Like I'm not ready for 2026 yet, people. And it looks like it's coming very, very quickly. Okay, so Diane so Chelsea knew that the higher altitude didn't need the pesticides. Good, that's awesome. Most people don't realize that. I do have to say, if I thought about it, it would have made sense when we go to Colorado Springs. We're at the higher altitudes, and I don't have to worry about the mosquitoes as much. I did know that. I don't know why I didn't think about the pesticides, but I did. What's 14,000 feet above sea level? Okay. So what I've done is I have created a Thanksgiving tea here. And for those of you that know from last time, I've got a couple of unusual things in here. It's never the typical thing. I also want to give a couple of shout outs to some people. So one of the best benefits about doing events all over the state is we get to meet with other homemade people, vendors, and try some of their products and different things like that. And that's always really fun. But it also puts us in a really unique position to find some things. And I always want to try and pass that along to everybody so that you can enjoy it as well. So as we go through for a Thanksgiving, I'm going to be moving my tea here. I'm going to kind of hide behind this for a second. There we go. All right. So when you do any kind of tea party, the tiered tray does have different meanings. You typically start here at the bottom. Those are going to be your savories. This is going to be your sandwiches or your quiches or soup. We've got a soup for everybody today too. And then in the middle tier, you're going to have your scones and your jams and your clotted cream and those kind of things. And then in the top, you're going to have your desserts. Dessert is typically 1 or 2 bite desserts, a bite of cheesecake, a bite of brownie, a bite of really a fancy chocolate, different things like that. Now we've got macarons up here, but we are going to come back to that. So what I wanted to do is create some unique things to put on here. And the very first thing I've got here is soup. And a lot of people don't think about soup when they have their tea parties. But if you have your tea party, say after Thanksgiving, before Christmas, a lot of times you'll have that turkey left over for those that eat it. I know my son-in-law is not a huge fan of turkey, so a lot of times they have something different. Other people will have more Italian food like lasagnas or hams or all sorts of things. But typically there's turkey left over, and there's so much you can do with it. One of my favorite meals in college was turkey Devon, and it was turkey, and it had a cheese sauce, and it had broccoli. Okay, if you know me, you know I love broccoli and turkey and cheese. So it makes a great soup. But that is something that you can definitely do. Put it in a cute little jar, something like this, have them in here and have it at your tea party. My handy dandy assistant would put the sweets at the bottom so you had more sweets. The whole idea is that's not how we do life, but that's okay. So there's something that's a little bit unusual. It's going to add some of that saltiness, but it's also going to add a creaminess. It's going to match really, really well with what most people have on this level, which could be a holiday tea like the oolong, or a lot of times this is where people will have their green teas. This would pair really well with the broccoli and a green tea like Emerald Garden. You could even put on this level a nice little Sunset Black, which is a black tea with orange, or some of your fruit citrus ones. Diane said she had an awesome homemade vegetable beef barley soup for supper. I love beef barley soup. That is probably one of my favorite like beef type soups, even more than a beef stew. That would be perfect right in here as well. Then what I did is we kind of went again with Thanksgiving. This is just grilled chicken for us because we haven't cooked our turkey yet. But you could do grilled turkey with pesto. But I wanted to add a little bit of something to it. I wanted to make it a little more Thanksgiving or holiday seasoned. And so what I have right here, crashed, is a cranberry pear white balsamic vinegar. Now, just a little bit will do. You could add this. I put chicken, grilled chicken. It fell out. But there's just grilled chicken in there. You could drizzle the vinegar over the chicken. It's a sweeter vinegar. It's not a very sour vinegar. Or you could mix it in with the pesto, but the chicken and the pesto in the sandwich and the croissant is really makes a delightful holiday type. And any kind of turkey, chicken or turkey and pesto, amazing and unique, not something that you're going to see. It's not your traditional egg salad or chicken salad sandwich there. Okay. Another thing is beef, whether it's a roast beef or a pastrami or a corned beef or something on that idea. Now you could put mustard in here. You could do a mayo with a balsamic vinaigrette or the cranberry pear vinaigrette in there as well, and use that, make almost like an aioli with the flavorings to go in there. So all yummy options for your bottom tier. For the middle tier, I did make some homemade cranberry scones. And this was quick and easy. I think it only baked for about 18 minutes. I think the whole thing maybe took 20 to 25 minutes to make from starting to, I'm going to make them, and to having them coming out of the oven and cool. I will say that I did have to send my handy dandy assistant downstairs to get the frozen cranberries at one point, but other than that, 20 minutes start to finish. And this is my favorite. If you've ever paid attention, I do like the savories. I do enjoy the savories, but this middle tray with a nice clotted cream or a whipped cream. In this one, I would be doing a cranberry. So you have for those of you that have cranberry jelly or jellied cranberries at your Thanksgiving dinner, and this is the perfect time to go. I like the cranberry orange flavoring. I've been waiting all day to take a bite. I'm going to take it now. I'm going to avoid the whipping cream or the clotted cream only because we had to stay out where we were overnight. And so I had to eat a lot of processed food. So I'm trying to get my sweets and my sugars back down. But super yummy, moist, delicious, easy. Don't skip the scones. Now, for Thanksgiving, you could also do like a maple scone, a brown sugar scone, a plain scone, and then just use lots of different holiday themed jams and jellies like cranberry or orange or marmalade and different things like that. But don't be afraid to even go into like a heartier or more savory flavor, like a rosemary scone would be really, really good. Or a sage and rosemary scone. I know that sounds unusual, but you're going to sweeten up those spices with your jams and your clotted cream or your whipped cream. And what that'll really do is bring out some of those flavors that you have in the Thanksgiving leftovers as well. And then I have down here on the card, so I want to make sure that I say it correctly. If you are anywhere near or anywhere going near Paul's Better Bakery in Lawrence, Kansas, he makes the best macarons I've ever tasted, and we've tasted them in quite a few places. He has a holiday set right now, so this is a pecan pie macaron. This one right here is a pumpkin pie macaron. Yes, you can have that one. Yay. I knew he was going to grab it. I knew he was going to want it. And then this one is an apple pie macaron, and I'm going to take a tiny bite of this one. But he does incredible ones. Now, this is perfect for somebody like me. You've got it at the top of your tea party. It's a couple of bites. But also, if you don't have a bunch of people that eat a lot of pies, having a macaron gets you some of that flavor of the pecan pie, of the pumpkin pie, or the apple pie without having to make the whole pie. Maybe you're traveling or you have people that I mean, some people just don't like the desserts, and then some people eat all the desserts, and there's not enough pie to go around. And if you missed out, the macarons, highly recommend them. They're incredible. There, he does not ship because he wants to make sure they stayed properly refrigerated until you enjoy them. So, Paul's Better Bakery in Lawrence, Kansas, highly recommend. But there you go. You could have some of your pie flavors. The other thing you could put up here that would be really yummy would be maple candied nuts, like pecans, walnuts. You could put cashews in there; those already have a sweetness, but especially like pecans, chestnuts, and walnuts. And all you have to do is take the nuts, put them in a tiny pan, put a little bit of organic maple syrup, 100% pure maple syrup in there, mix them up, candy them up until it kind of creates a sauce, is all I can really say, in a coating. And then let them cool on some parchment paper. They're really yummy. They're also very much a 1 or 2 bite treat that you could have, especially for someone like we are that doesn't eat a ton of sweets. I would go for a candied pecan or a praline pecan, a little bit, and indulge. Although most of the time when we see something really big like that, we're gonna split one, and I'm gonna give him 2/3 to 3/4 of it, and I'm gonna take a little bit of it. Yeah. So, but all right. Any other questions that you all thought of while I was going through some of your Thanksgiving tea party options here?
We did have 6 people who never tried tea before.
Yeah.
One were a couple of kids that thought it tasted like water.
We did have quite a few people who had never tried tea before at this event this weekend, and I'd say at least half of them ended up buying some because they ended up discovering that they really enjoyed tea, which is always fun. So, okay, I did want to talk about 2 other things before we sign off tonight. Giving you a chance, if you have any more questions, to put them in the chat or comments. Number 1, actually 3 things. I have 3 things. Sorry, not 2, 3. Number 1, Thursday, 6 p.m. Central, I'm going on a national live. I'm going to have a mini live sale. I'm going to do a little differently. There'll be some things like I do on our traditional live sales, but I'm going to do it a little bit differently. So if you want to go see and just say, hey, I've tried that one, it's yummy, go for it. But I thought I would share that I was chosen to be one of the vendors on that. I am being featured. Number 2, this Black Friday, we do what we do. We're gonna have the same sale kind of all weekend. It'll start on Black Friday, it'll end on Cyber Monday, and we are going to be doing a free gift with purchase. Obviously, the more you purchase, the bigger the free gift is, but that is what we're going to do. And we're going to have a couple of our teas fairly deeply discounted. And you can anticipate that they're going to be the teas that we made maybe 2 months ago, 2.5 months ago, or they're a holiday blend type of thing that we have 2 or 3 left. Those are primarily what we will give away, just because, again, we want to get that tea. You know, when you buy it, you want to drink it within a year to get that best, highest quality. But that's one of the things we're going to be doing. So if you see anything about that, Black Friday for us is we're going to do a little bit different. We've done discounts and different things in the past. There will be a giveaway. Anybody who purchases on that weekend will get put in for a giveaway, and we will announce later on what that is. And then the third thing I need y'all to do it right now. I have it up on the Facebook page and on the Instagram page, but would you, as a consumer, do you prefer pricing with or without tax included? So the event we're due to go to next Saturday, we've gotten, I don't want to say yelled at, but we've had some stern conversations. I'm going to put this down. It's very distracting. I'm sorry, everybody. Okay. We have had some customers that have come up and they get very upset because we tell them, you know, it's $8 for 1 ounce or 15 for 2 ounces. And they're like, then we say, okay, it's $8.75 with tax or $8.76 with tax. And they get really upset because they didn't know about the tax. Now, in Europe, I get it because everything is kind of included, but in the United States, usually you see the price and then you add the sales tax. We keep getting yelled at. They want us to just raise it up and have it all included. So, would you prefer that we gave you the price and then with the understanding that it's going to be a little more because of sales tax, or would you rather us just raise the price so that it included sales tax? So, let me know in the comments or chat, even if you're watching on the replay. A, keep it the way it is. I understand that if I'm paying whatever the price per ounce is, and I'm going to add sales tax onto that, unless you're from New Hampshire that doesn't have sales tax. Or B, yes, go ahead and have the price include the tax. So Kim says, I presume price is without tax unless otherwise specified. Well, and that's what we thought too. And we're not the only vendor that this group of people that like to go to this particular event. They are very vocal about not liking it like that. And I think some people think because we have that tea, they consider that a food. It's not technically a food for government tax purposes. They aren't expecting it. Diane says B. She would just prefer to pay it and have it all included there so she doesn't have to think about it. Okay. Okay, that's good to know. How about everybody else? What are your thoughts?
Put it online.
I did put it online. You can always vote on our Facebook page or our Instagram page. I have it pinned on our Facebook page. I just figured I'd ask because we can do it either way. It's not that big of a deal for us. The point of sale systems that we use in our website I have to tell it that it's the price plus tax, or I can tell it that it's all included. Betsy says, what Mama said, but I always love to find ones where the tax is included. So Betsy's kind of leaning towards B. Chelsea says, I would say price plus tax. I always assume the price does not include tax. And that's what we've typically done. I just figured I would ask because we always look at our notes, like what sold the most. For instance, when we went to the Wimmy-Diddle this year, we sold a ton of green teas. That tended to be way more popular than the black teas and even the caffeine-free. So, okay, great. Another event that we do, Buttons and Bows. Man, the Buttons and Bows crowd love chai. We go through way more chai. We sell way more chai there than we do typically percentage-wise in other shows. So we make notes of that every year so that we can be prepared. And the notes I have for this particular show coming up on Saturday is the fact that they really don't like to have sales tax added. They wanted it in there. So we are thinking about it, but we figured we'd throw it out there and see what you all thought first. Who said the question and answer just had to be you asking me questions? But anyway, any other questions while we're on here? Anything else you wanted to clarify? Please reach out. Let me know. I'm happy to answer them. Other than that, next week, we are definitely talking about Thanksgiving, a little bit more of the tea and food pairing, but also a couple of surprises. I've got a couple of things going on for next week that I think will be exciting for our live. Do I have to charge different tax in different counties? Absolutely, yes. So Junction City, 9.97, 1.097, 9.75, 9.75%. In some parts of Manhattan, Kansas, it's 9.15. In other parts of Manhattan, Kansas, it's 9.5. In another part, it's 9.25. In Topeka, it's 9.5. In Salina, it's 9.45, I want to say. Like, it's crazy. I always have to adjust the taxes. So yes, it's a different sales tax. And then if we do any events out of state, like when we do the Midwest Tea Festival, that was in Missouri, the Missouri side of Kansas City. That's a whole other ballgame because I have to calculate tax for there. So yes, we adjust our sales tax every time for every place, which would technically mean that people were paying different amounts of money for their tea every time, which is kind of why we've always standardized it. But that's a great question, Kendra. We do. We have to adjust for that. And then if you live in New Hampshire, I know we have one of our people that the tea family members that lives in New Hampshire, and she purchases, and they have no sales tax there. So fortunately, I don't have to pay sales tax, and neither does she. And it's always nice because the numbers are really easy at that point. But good question. Thank you, Kendra. Anybody else have a question? Anybody else? Okay. So I talked about what we're doing. Thursday, feel free to go, not go. It's all good. I just want to let you know, I talked about the pool, and I talked about the scones and the caramel puffs. They did come out of the freeze dryer. Kim, I am speaking to you right now. I know you enjoy them. They are done and they are ready. My handy dandy assistant had to taste test a couple to make sure that they were up to standard, which was pretty funny. The caramel puffs, he had to taste.
They go well in coffee.
QA/QC. But yeah, he uses them in his coffee, even though they're supposed to be for tea, but you know. And then I talked about the Black Friday, and then that was it. That was all I had other than the questions. I don't see any other questions coming out. I'm looking down so I could look at the questions. I don't see any more, so I'm going to say thanks for joining me. I hope you all have a wonderful, wonderful week. I am, like I said, I am very much looking forward to getting back to my Saturday ladies. I miss them. Someday I'll have a Saturday where we're not rushing off to someplace for a while, but that's the nature of the season. Kim's happy about the caramel puffs. I don't blame you. I think they're just fun. I don't think about making them at other points in time during the year, but they don't. The other thing is they don't take long. The caramel only takes me about 45 minutes to an hour to make the caramel, and then it's about probably about 22 hours in the freeze dryer to turn and get the caramel puffs. So they're actually pretty quick, unlike the regular fruits, which take a lot longer. So all right, and next week I will also be announcing what the Black Friday tea is. The Black Friday tea sale is, because there will be a Black Friday tea. I will be doing that. Kim says, I imagine with different sales tax in different places that not including it would be the most logical, and people shouldn't be surprised by it, Betsy. Yeah, it could, and that's one of the reasons why we have to tell the machines to either calculate it as included or not. But I think we figured it out, and like the difference between Topeka at their sales tax rate versus Salina would be that the Salina people end up paying one more penny for the cost of the tea, kind of thing, when we kind of reverse mathed it. So all right, everybody, I appreciate it. If you have any other questions, feel free to add them. Other than that, I really hope you all have a great week. Enjoy the warm weather where we are while we have it, because pretty soon we're going to be back to that cold thing. And we all know I don't love that cold thing. So, all right, everybody, have a great week. We'll see you later.
Bye.